What's going on, boys? How you doing? Gravinder, Raji, Optimus, what's going on? Here we go. We'll go into SPY here. So coming into today, I told you guys it was going to be tricky. We did nail puts last week. This week, I told you rallies can be very, very vicious. I compared it to the September event right here, where we dumped at the morning and then we had 4 days of rally before we rolled over and made new lows. Is that the exact same thing happening? It's possible. So we dumped last Friday here. Monday rally day, Tuesday rally day. Do we rally to all-time highs and then dump back and lose the lows? That's the question. What's up, Mohammed? Rishi's here. So that's definitely possible just based on what happened back here in September. That's what we were talking about yesterday. I'm not going to draw the full circle. So big dump off, 4-day, 5-day rally, 4 or 5-day rally straight. And then we rolled over and lost the lows. Is that the exact same thing happening here? Most likely not. Why do I say most likely not? What's up, Ricky? How you doing? Why do I say that? Because back here, the bounce, we didn't even get close to all-time highs. After 4 days of rallying, we closed well below all-time highs. This time, after 2 days of rallying, we are already approaching all-time highs, which is at 473.54. So if we get any closer to this 473.54, the chances of going down and breaking this low get lower and lower, especially with the move today. I don't know why TradingView is putting this little wick on the candle here. That's it seems kind of sneaky to me, because we did not wick and close the gap today at all in regular trading hours. Let's see if 4 hours shows it. So yeah, you see on the 4 hour, we left this huge gap from yesterday that's unfilled. From all the way from 460 to 464 is unfilled on the 4 hour. This is the correct chart. On the daily here, they have a wick. I don't know why. Seems kind of sketchy to me. Look at this huge wick. They came out of nowhere. They got this wick. And if you look at, what's up, Bookie? How you doing, bro? This is an 8 hour chart. So it basically tells you the daily chart with no wick. So there's no trickery here. But I don't know why on the daily chart they gave that huge wick just to trick bulls maybe. I'm not sure, but let's see why. I don't know why I did that. But anyways, SPY, we broke above this key resistance of November 29th as well, which was 466.55. As you see, I have a yellow line drawn there. We broke that this morning, and that's when I cut my SPY puts because it was just a huge move. So we took the range breakout here, huge gap to fill. We took puts, and once we broke through this line, we should have known that it was going to be bullish all day. Once we broke the line, we just went sideways all day. I mean, this is pretty bullish action. I'm not going to lie to you. Huge gap up, huge run, and then just sideways all day. They try to trick out some bulls here, get some shorts trapped, and then they ripped it up end of day, almost closing at high of day again. So very bullish close here. Other than that, right now, it looks like the rally is going to keep going, especially after hours. We're still going. We're going for the high of the day after hours. So right now, on a full scaled out note, obviously, we are very overextended on the weekly and monthly, but just on a daily and shorter term time period, no one knows what's going to happen. But the most likely scenario is we continue up, especially with the strong move today. Again, that wick should not be there. I don't know why it's there on multiple trading platforms. It's not just TradingView. It's on Questrade as well, I believe. So here's the 8 hour without the wick. Just remember, there's a huge gap to fill. Under 464 all the way to 460 is a gap that like 80% of gaps in the stock market get filled. So remember that. QQQ, same kind of action, but QQQ did not take out the November 29th high. So the November 29th high was 473, 401.19. So 401.19 we'd have to use. I have a resistance drawn here at 398.78. We didn't even take that out. So SPY is stronger than QQQ just based on the fact that it took out this November 29th high. QQQ did not. So let's see if we get continuation. At least they didn't make no big wick on QQQ. There is a big gap now here to fill later on. It might be later this week. It might be next week. It might be next year. But there's a gap here that's most likely that's going to fill from 393 all the way down to 387. So a 6-point gap on QQQ that probably going to get filled. IWM, or no, XLF, sorry. XLF still running back hard. November 29th high was 39.36. Today's high was 39.41. So we did take it out, but we closed below it No, actually we closed above it because we closed way below it on here. So XLF also strong. We're sitting at the 50-day moving average. The 50-day moving average on XLF to the upside is 39.37, guys. So make sure you know. Obviously we rejected it today by 4 cents. We got over it by 4 cents and profit taking right away. So remember, over 39.37 we can go re-enter this range. Until then, XLF swings are off the table. IWM, why did I enter long at 350? This is the only reason. We were flying all day. This is super bullish action. Gap up and go and consolidate, pull back at the end of the day. We just tested my previous resistance. That's why I jumped in 225 calls. We tested it and we bounced off it hard. So that was the December 1st high, which was my resistance. It's a 4-day high. Retested and we ripped after. That's why I took IWM calls. We've been down for like weeks and weeks now in IWM. Look at this. Since November 8th, we've been almost straight down in a line. We consolidated at a major key support right here. Look at this. Support is all the way from January of this year. Hit the support, and now we were just kind of flagging on top of it, seeing which way are we going to go. Inside day yesterday, and then today we broke up. So bulls took over after the inside day. Like I said, in an inside day, bulls don't know where it's going, bears don't know where it's going. They're like fighting. Is it going to go higher? Is it going to go lower? And we broke my key resistance all in one shot. So that's why I took IWM calls at the end of the day here. Still running. Probably could sell them for about 30% right now. Not going to do that. But let's see what happens tomorrow. DJI, super strong. Yesterday I was telling you guys there's key resistances here. I didn't want those resistances to break because I was short BA and HD. But it did break this morning. Gap up and closed above the 50-day moving average. So Dow Jones looks good as well. The only reason I held my HD was because everything was flying today. Home Depot actually gapped up to 422.90 and we closed at 416.18. So not particularly strong, especially when the whole market was flying. HD staying completely sideways all day tells me it's weak. If we do not get a gap up and go tomorrow, HD will probably break down. Plus, we have next week's. The reason I cut Boeing is because it was this week's. And what happened was this morning, we had this little wick sell-off. Then we came up. People bought it at the pre-market low. So this is what I didn't like about the short in the morning. Came down, tested the pre-market low. People bought it up, went and took out the pre-market high. That's very bullish. So I cut my puts. What's up, Gravish? How you doing? Very bullish. Cut my puts here. And just continue to grind sideways all day. End of the day here, little dump, but we did close higher into the close. So overall, on the overall picture on Boeing, we did have some resistances that we rejected. Well, this is a pre-market high here. We closed below it. Wait, what was that? 1 second. I had a line there for a reason. Yeah, pre-market high, okay. So pre-market high there, we closed below it. Is that right? Yes, we did. Okay, so we closed below today's pre-market high. One thing I noticed today that I pointed out in the group was value names or blue chip companies. What's up, Danish? I will. Blue chip companies, value names, they've been running for 4 days now, while growth has not. So BA, look at this, 4 days kind of up every day. You got, what else was it? MNST, Monster Beverage is up 4 days in a row. You got FedEx up 4 days in a row. You got UPS, which is up 4 days in a row. It's a ton of these value names, blue chip, older investor names. They're all up 4 days in a row. Whereas growth names like SE, they put in a low yesterday, and then they gapped up today. They filled their gap, and then they tried to bounce. SE did that. You tried to do that. You see that? Gap up, fill the gap, and then try to go. What else? Roku, I think, tried to do that. Yeah, Roku gap up. This was their first day up. So this is the first day up for growth. Do we get follow through or do we roll over? That's the question. So all these names are kind of moving in tandem here. Some of them were stronger than others, like Jumia. Jumia had a huge gap. It didn't even fill it, and it closed higher. What else was there? There were so many that did this. SQ did the same thing. SQ, big gap up today, didn't fill the gap and just continued a little bit higher. PayPal did the same thing. So growth names are on day 2 of their bounce. Value names are on day 4 of their bounce. So even if you look at HD, even though we're in puts, if you look at it, it's 4 days up. So if they rotate from the value into the growth, that would be the probable scenario in my opinion. Like they pull back the HDs, the FedExes, UPSs. They've been up 4 days in a row. If they pull back a little bit, the money might start rotating into growth, which was my thought when I went into TDOC here. So growth, if you think growth, you think ARK, you think Kathy Wood. TDOC, one of her biggest plays, obviously a big disappointment if you're holding it. I don't like it. But for a short swing, I think growth is the place to be if you want some lottos or next week's. Just for that fact, like value's been up 4 days in a row, growth is only on day 2. So if we do get follow through, I think growth gets more money than value does. So that's why I'm watching TDOC for follow through, SQ for follow through. Tesla obviously is following through. Again, just big gap up, didn't close the gap, and now let's see if we keep going. PayPal is another good one that looks like it might want to go U, like T called out today. Another good one. Let's see if money starts flowing from the value into the growth, which is how my short-term trades are centered right now, as I'm in HD puts and I'm in TDOC long and I'm in IWM long. So if money does start to flow like that and we're right, we should get paid very nicely. SQ here, why did I take calls at the end of the day? It's the exact same play as we had earlier. What do I mean by that? Ricky pointed it out. Cool guy Ricky, thank you, bro. What I seen, so every time SE gets oversold on the RSI and the stochastics are below here, it usually tends to bounce. So we were taking calls right here. We took the 260s from 185 to I believe 250 and 275 were my two sells. So a great almost 50% play. And then we just let it ride. And then the RSI got back down here and the stochastics got back down here at the end of the day here. So I re-entered at the end of the day. So I'm just going to be looking for the same play. Maybe a little gap up tomorrow. Sell them for 50, 60% and I'm out again. And we'll wait for it to set up again. Sorry, guys. So Unity, let's look for follow through on this one. But there is a 50-day moving average to battle here. If we get over that and close above 154.70 tomorrow, we will be in good shape. TDOC is the same thing, but it's with the 8-day moving average. We need to get over $100 and close tomorrow. A close above $100 tomorrow would be very bullish for our calls, which are next week's. So I'm going to have a short leash with these ones. Obviously, they've been turd stocks. I mean, it came all the way from like 200. TDOC was a $300 stock at one time, and now we're trading options for $100. So that should tell you all you need to know about long-term holding these. Other than that, short term, they should be due for a bounce. Like if they're not going to bounce now, when are they going to bounce? Another thing I seen on TDOC, which I liked, which I took next week's, Yush, if you're listening, the weekly. So last time the weekly RSI came down around these levels at 30s, this is at 33, we had a 4, 5, 6, 7 week bounce. Okay, 7 week bounce on TDOC here. Another time RSI was almost oversold was right here. We bottomed out and went 4 weeks straight up. So again, we are approaching the same levels here after a 4-week dump, 5-week dump. And if we get a bounce, we could get a nice 3 to 4 week bounce here. Christmas rally, you know, like everyone's saying. But that's my reason for the TDOC calls. That's my reason for the SC calls. HD, I told you already, 4 days up for value. Let's see if we rotate back into growth, which is what I'm seeing happening. Amazon, let's check this one out. Amazon here, I have a pattern drawn out already. So basically we have this little support line here. If this wants to play out, ignore this line here. If this wants to play out how I think, this is a shoulder. This is the support here, the neckline. This is the shoulder, this is the head, and now we're forming the right shoulder before we cave over. It could be right, it could be wrong. If I'm wrong, this should go and set a higher low here and then go back for these highs at 37.62. But now I'm leaning more on the bull side. Why am I leaning more on the bull side? If any one of you was watching the Apple flow today, the Apple flow for the last 2 weeks has been absolutely insane. Like I've never seen anything like it. Every 2 minutes someone's putting millions of dollars into Apple. So why aren't these deleting? But whatever. Oh my god, that's why. All right, so this is the Apple weekly just for you, Dinesh, even though you don't say please. Very clear channel here. Every time it's at the bottom you buy, every time it's at the top you sell. And right now on the Apple weekly we are right at the top of the channel. Am I saying we're not going to break out? No, but the probability that we break out is very low. Why do I say that? Another factor is this RSI is heated up on the weekly. It's heated up back here. You guys seen what happened. Heated up right here. You guys seen what happened. Heated up here. Seen what happened. So another thing is, this is kind of bearish divergence on the RSI. Why do I say that? Because this high, well, the weekly, I don't know if it makes much sense to do it on the weekly. We can do it on the daily. Same thing, same channel on the daily. One thing I did notice was, you guys see how the RSI is way up at 75 on this candle right here? Today, the RSI was only 73, so that means bearish divergence. That means momentum is to the downside on Apple. The only thing that would make this go up is those huge call flows that I've seen. Obviously, big money is jumping into Apple. What do I mean by bearish divergence? It's when the price action goes up, but the RSI goes down. That means the momentum is to the downside. So if they do want to turn it over here, we might get a test at the bottom of the channel. Again, just pay attention to that. Obviously, if you're in calls, you might get a squeeze and might get paid through the channel. Because if it does break this channel, it probably runs. So good luck to you guys. Other than that, I did not enter any Apple. I'm looking for those other plays to work out first before I enter any more plays. We got Adobe here, so that's Apple. I mean, we are at key resistances. It needs to break that resistance to keep going. There is huge call flow, so might go, might not. Who knows? But for me, it's not strong enough probability for me to hold calls yet. Adobe crushed this short last Friday. Head and shoulders, neckline break. 1 day relief yesterday. Today, huge gap up. So huge gap here to fill as well on Adobe. From 626 all the way to 640. So about a 14-point gap down. If we cannot get over this support here tomorrow around 660, if Adobe does not get over 660 tomorrow, we're probably going to go and fill that gap to the downside. Other than that, I have no play in Adobe right now. We made great money on it last week, but let's see what it happens. A lot of stocks are just retesting their breakdown. So that's why I'm not getting too bullish. I'm not bearish anymore. But Adobe, as you've seen, broke down. Now it's just retesting. Microsoft, no, Microsoft already did that. Tesla, huge wedge breakdown. And now 2-day bounce, we're retesting that wedge. If we get over it, we can rip back to the top of the wedge. If we reject it, we can roll over and lose the lows. So just remember that before you get too bullish or too bearish in this one. There's a couple others. Just go look at supports of stuff that we hit last week on puts, and it's doing the exact same thing. I think Pan W might be doing the same thing here. Yeah, so Pan W just has a clear falling resistance here. Look at today. We hit that resistance almost to the penny, and we pulled back from 532 all the way to, we pulled back 9 points today off that resistance. So keep that in mind. We're just retesting levels that were broken last week. If we do not get back over those levels, we can roll over and lose those lows. Just remember that. Moderna, beautiful play by Cool Guy Ricky. I had the order in as well at 6. It went down to 610, didn't fill me, and then ripped. It happens. I mean, I sell early sometimes, I sell late sometimes, I miss plays. You can't catch them all. You can't be perfect all the time. It happens. Moderna sitting right on the 200-day moving average, like I said. The premiums on the calls were very cheap, like I told you on post market yesterday. I had my order and missed it by 10 cents. Ricky got it. It's good. I'm happy for him. I hope he gets paid nicely. But right now, we're just holding the 200-day here, so nothing. We didn't even take out yesterday's high. 287, 287.48, 287.77. So we did take out yesterday's high. So that is very positive. Let's see if Moderna, for the first, so anyone that's in Moderna, if you caught it with Cool Guy Ricky, the first gap, I would just take profits at these gaps. Obviously, it can run far, but my first profit taking would be around 294. That would just be filling the gap at 293.60. That would be my first profit. Second profit taking zone would probably be up these 352 even. So Moderna can run. If you guys have played Moderna before, it runs a lot. So what happened here? We had all these gaps. They're never going to get filled, right? Moderna's done. And then like a month later, it filled all those gaps. and then it left more gaps. Oh, those are never going to get filled. Those are never going to get filled. Filled those gaps too. Now we left another gap to the upside. So 294 would be my first scale out on Moderna. My second one would probably be all the way up at 352. So keep an eye on Moderna. More COVID headlines, and this one's going to fly. And you should get paid very nicely because those premiums were cheap. If this actually starts to move, those Januaries are going to move very, very fast. Yeah, I'll do that one too. Tesla, we already went over. Breakdown of the wedge. Retesting now. We have China delivery numbers after hours, so remember that if you're holding. Here's Micron here. Chips have been super strong, especially today. Chips really showed their strength. Moderna. So Micron, just in its range, I guess. There's nothing much to say here about Moderna. There is another gap to fill. It's the same story as the other growth names, especially it's not beaten up as bad, but yesterday, 2 days ago, we got a gap down. Yesterday, we got a little bit of green. Today, we got a gap up. We did not fill that gap, so it is in one of the stronger lists. That's all like I can really say about this one. Does it go up? Does it go down? Nobody knows. It might want to fill the gap to the downside and then rip up. It might want to go up a little bit more and then come back down and fill the gap. But right now, a lot of stocks are just in no man's land. But this is one of the stronger ones. Why do I say that? It gapped up and it did not fill the gap. So it just shows strength. PayPal did the same. Right here, you didn't fill that gap from yesterday. 186 to 188. Square, same thing. Gap up, didn't fill the gap. Twilio, I think same thing. Same thing, didn't fill the gap. So you got to separate the ones that are strong from the ones that aren't strong. So SE filled the gap. Dawkin is another one that didn't fill the gap. U filled the gap. So just know which growth names showed strength today, which ones didn't, by which ones filled the gap and ran, and which ones just left the gap and just kept going. So just pay attention to these growth names. Let's see if we get that rotation from